When I think of the word in the very beginning, when my parents would say, "Give me some peace and quiet in here." Okay, so my first concept of peace was to sit down and be still. In that vein, even today, uh, peace is to be still and be not just be quiet, but be still. So I look for peace in that way. I look for inner peace and in the process being still. That's when I try to like quiet everything in me, especially the mind. Especially the mind. The body is much easier to quiet than the mind. And I have little tricks or little things I do to lead me to that stillness or quietness that I seek. I start with the tip of my toes and I say relax, and I'm talking to my muscles. I tell them to relax, and I come on up the foot, up the heel, the ankle, telling all of these muscles to relax. And usually I don't get as far as the neck, because by that time I'm so relaxed I'm out. But it works for me. Maybe because of the practice, but it works for me. Divine intervention. And I believe that into further notice. I unknowingly put my son in Brooklyn Friends School. It was early October, I think it was. He told me they wanted me to come to worship. And then I said, he says, well, we go to the auditorium and we say a query. And I couldn't wait to come and find out what have I done unknowingly. And I had stopped going to conventional churches years before. And so I came the way I had worshiped prior to coming to the meeting house. And I tell people I was dressed like a Baptist. Wide brim hat, the 9 yards, and sat right over on that last bench there. And I was sitting there thinking, well, the preacher's late. When is he coming? Oh, this is one of those churches we're going to be all day. Every now and then somebody stand up and say something. I was just waiting for the preacher. And when it was over, I said, wait a minute. I think I like this. And nobody telling me how to live, nobody telling me. And then I think before I left the building, it dawned on me, they didn't pass the plate. You see, in the conventional churches I had attended, in an hour, that plate would have gone around twice and on its way back a third time. But then they say, you give from a different place. And that's why I knew I had found my spiritual home. So let me take you to 2015, 10 years ago. I've been coming here over 20 years on various committees, been encouraged by many to join, but I don't have to join. I can give of myself without joining. And I decided to join. And it just so happens that the first reading of my letter was in, I think, December, and then for whatever reason we didn't have a reading of the letter in January. So when the second reading took place in February, Again, by divine intervention or coincidence, it was my actual birthday. So I was born twice on the same day. Once from my mother, and again, I became a Quaker on my birthday in 2015. So yeah, I call it born again. I can say I've been coming here a minimum of 30 years, and I've only stood up and given a message once. And that was this year, in fact. And it was a joy that I was experiencing when I would come in and I would see so many new faces, and I was thinking, wow, these benches are filling up. And the joy was that all of these young people are finding their way here, and it's only one Quaker house of worship in Brooklyn. And it just filled me up so full one Sunday in the recent past that I had to go and just express the joy I felt in seeing all of these young people come. Even if they don't come back again soon, they're coming. And I was reflecting on Patricia Glenn one Sunday, a minimum of 20 years ago. It was like a feeling came over her or something, and she had stood up and said basically, she felt good because she could name everybody that was sitting in here at that particular Sunday. And when I was sitting there that Sunday and I had this feeling I wanted to share, I mentioned that. I said, unlike Patricia that Sunday, I can't name a third of the people in here, but it's a joy for me to see people that are finding their way here. Keep coming. Keep on coming, and bring a friend. Small F or capital F. Keep coming.